Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Rick, Broadman Baptist Church, and this is the Broadman Word for July 23rd, 2021. And I want to talk to you today about just getting started. We can get so overwhelmed with life. There's so many things to do. There is, family requirements, job requirements, school sometimes, social requirements. There's a lot of things tugging at us all the time. And a lot of times these things can get in the way of us exercising our ministry, the thing that we perhaps have a passion for or would like to do. And so it requires a conscious effort for us to physically sometimes let our spiritual desires and our spiritual requirements drive our calendar instead of the worldly requirements driving our calendar. In doing so, we can find time to get started on things because otherwise we tend to let things just sort of go. Well, when I'm less busy or when this happens or that happens, then I'll get started. Then I'll volunteer or then I'll get a personal growth plan going, things like that. But in reality, they get pushed off far too long, or maybe not at all. And so today is just get started, do something, make a choice. And so I wanted to talk to you about then the role of the gospel in your life and the role of church in your life, because the overarching question is, what does it mean to you? What role does it play? When you leave the house, when you go out, do you actually have a sense that you're going out into the kingdom, into God's kingdom, and that you're a servant in that kingdom? When you leave to go to work or wherever it is you're going to go, is it with the understanding of who you are and what your real job is, regardless of what the activity you're going to do? Do you have about you a plan for how it is you're going to represent the kingdom that day, what it is you're going to do? And so, in this way, the question has to be asked, is the gospel a real, measurable, palpable, engaged part of my life? I know conceptually, and in the big overarching scheme of life, most of you have accepted the gospel and professed Jesus Christ, and you believe it to be the Word of God, which is wonderful. That's where we have to start. But has it made it down to street level? Have you gotten started with what it is you need to do, and have you incorporated it into your actual physical life? Even those of us who have ministries that we volunteer in a church, perhaps we have a passion for it, whether it be outreach, missions, children's, whatever it might be, can get wrapped up in it being routine, being what we do, and not having the significance of something. And then we tend not to get other things started because we figure, well, we're doing that, and so I'm good. But that's not really the call of the gospel. We are certainly called to serve, and the church is a wonderful place to serve. We need to. There's lots of ministries that are necessary for it to be effective. And of course, at Broadman, we call ourselves a church that makes a difference. Well, to make that difference, it requires people in the ministries. But that's not the end of it. That's not the end of God's will for you. It is a 24/7 calling. It is a understanding of who we are and what we need to do on a daily basis. And so we then tend to separate our lives a little bit because we have the secular us, the work us, or the school us, and then we have the church us and the things that we feel we're doing for Christ. But are the two connected? Are you still, when you're at work or other activities, are you still truly applying the gospel, and are you still truly of a mindset and an intentionality that in this situation, whatever it might be, I am the representative of God? Because we need to get started on that. It is sometimes difficult. It does require planning and purpose, and like I just said, intentionality. But it is also a very rewarding thing for us to do. But you got to just get it started. And it starts with your recognition of a need of God's. And then it's followed up by your willingness in your home, either together with your family or in your private time, making such a plan, getting started, write it down, make a checklist, whatever it is you need to do to bring about the start, to just get started. Because if we don't, the world will constantly bombard you with other things that need to be done. Simple tasks, big tasks, life planning tasks, or maybe just the things necessary to get through a day. We can let these things pile up on us and eventually not just get started. Work expands to the time allotted, and if we have 2 hours to do something instead of 1 hour, we're likely to take 2 hours to do it. But if you've only got 1 hour to do something and it needs to be done, you're likely to get it done in 1 hour, even if it's maybe something that might have been better if it took 2. So work expands to the time allotted. So if you allot days, weeks, and months for you to get started on something that you know you need to do for your spiritual health and for the well-being of the kingdom, it's going to take however long you allotted for that to happen. And then perhaps it doesn't happen at all. But if you put a box around it, you give it a time frame. Start with a day. I'm going to today do this for my spiritual walk. I'm going to assume this role. I'm going to accomplish this task. And you specify it, write it down, put it in your phone, whatever you need to do. But just get started, because in that way, you're likely to get it done if you give it a time frame. Otherwise, the indefinite time frame tends to lead to indefinite attempts to start that never really go anywhere. So there's a poem. Unfortunately, I forget who wrote it, but it really kind of sums this whole thing up. And let me read it to you. It says, "On the plains of hesitation bleach the bones of countless millions who at the door of victory sat down to wait, and waiting they died." So we don't want our spirits to be at the door of victory and then sit and wait. There is an urgent need for us and our voices, more than this nation has had in my memory anyway, of what I know of our history. So we need to just get started. Hey, listen, I love you. I hope you have a marvelous day in the Lord. I'll talk to you next time.